Wasn't really planning on doing this, but I guess to keep the channel active, let's roll with it. Remember, if you like the videos, like, sub, silly, comment, blah, 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 share, helps the channel. So I guess to continue the topic of what brought up recently, what's old is new again, let's expand on those older videos even that I made, and I'll put a link to those older videos, so just watch that in the description. Once again, no, you cannot homing dash out of this when you do it in strings like this. You're hitting the homing dash early, you just attack the guy, you cannot option select to get out of this. That's bullshit. Did you even fucking try? It's ridiculous. Anyway, so quick recap from basic stuff. Hopefully, you know, the general idea of a lot of the stuff I've talked about. If you stutter step with fireballs, it changes how you can reflect and homing dash out of them, so it makes strings that are normally, well, reflectable, outable, homing dashable, outable. It doesn't work the same. This allows for some actual even safe Banshee Blast split finger shot stuff, even without doing a vanish, install, option select, whatever, because normally you don't have any move that does enough stun or you're at a distance that you are safe, but when you do this, you actually can do safe strings with it. So that's another important caveat. Also, hopefully you understand the basic idea of the priority system in the game, you know, and the idea is Vegito actually has strings where you can set yourself, kind of reset it back to 0, and you're at a distance where then you can actually take advantage of the priority system despite what the guy is doing and despite that you're doing slower moves. So hopefully you know that kind of bullshit. Anyway, so with that out of the way, something I didn't show in the original videos that, again, I'm sure no one actually tried, but here it is. You can actually do falling Banshee Blast stuff from some setups. I'm going to show that here. So, of course, obviously, we're always going to vanish install whenever possible, right? Again, none of this is real, but the idea is how can we make this as real as possible? So we can actually do this at a range where we are actually in range to do a jab and to continue falling pressure, right? So let's look at this, right? So once again, we vanish install here in case the guy tries the homing dash, right? When we fall, we can also kind of make ourselves sort of safe-ish almost from attacks, even when the guy reflects. Again, none of this is real, but we're making this as real as possible, right? And is kind of tighter than it looks despite the game. Potentially, I guess. This also, coincidentally, also works from that setup that I've showed in older videos. When I'm talking about you want to get at that sweet mid-range spot with the far orb where we can do actual safe Banshee Blast stuff with no vanish installs, the distance where your stand medium is taking advantage of the priority system, where you're taking advantage of a random sassy kick if the guy tries to do something, random threats of a big throw, etc., etc. There's a lot of kind of stuff here at this specific range you can actually do. So again, coincidentally from this range enough, also from this stand medium, this also actually perfectly sets up the falling jab thing. So this gives us another way to keep the momentum going with these kind of strings. Again, it's not real, and this is why I say I don't put my foot in my mouth when I say stuff like this, but you're making it more real, right? At least as real as you can make it, solo speaking kind of, right? So another thing you might ask, okay, well, this is all good, but what about in the corner? In the corner, how would you set this up? Because in the corner, you know, this game is terrible with every move moves you forward, right? So how would you even set this up? Well, the answer is actually pretty fucking simple. If you recall, I've showed Vegito actually has setups versus certain characters, and there are variables, of course, where you set up homing dash and you can set it up off of, you know, stutter step fireball, so you can't even get out of that, right? Or not the same way you can't get out of it, at least, right? And you can't duck hard out of it or whatever. He has these kind of ghetto homing dash setups where, again, variable and character specific, but he's actually safe from attacks. Some characters, and you know, there's variables, but it is there to a reasonable degree, right? And since you bounce off with the homing dash, well, what do you know? It sets you up in a sweet spot to do this and continue our potential pressure, putting another asset, I guess, into our repertoire, whatever. So then you might ask, well, okay, well, fuck me, Clayton, fuck my titties, right? At this range, if we actually just do this and we have the meter, if we have a level 3 as well, why don't we just do, you know, a final Kamehameha install, right? Option select, right? You know what I mean? That's better if I have meter, right? And you might be right until you actually try this. Unlike some people who actually just throw shit out without actually trying it, right? You know what I mean? Well, you can't actually do this because there is a fatal flaw to doing it from this range. Unlike doing a mid-screen or further Banshee Blast split finger shot, this is very specific. It's so specific that even doing this versus a tall character is extremely hard because there just is no real room for error. So basically, if the opponent were to even jump to make their hurt box higher, well, guess what? They're going to get hit by the Banshee Blast sooner, and you're going to vanish your final Kamehameha no matter what, right? So this is a pretty noticeable caveat that you got to keep in mind, right? So again, unlike mid-screen or further where this isn't as much of an issue, when you're actually doing these falling setups, well, you don't have any room for error. So if the guy actually were to jump, well, it's just gone to waste, right? So then you're like, well, again, well, fuck me, okay. Of course, for what it's worth, though, I guess if you're thinking about, a realistic match, whatever, obviously you wouldn't do this all the time anyway. And when you're staggering pressure and you're stutter stepping and you're throwing all this other stuff into the mix, well, you know what? Randomly sassy kicking, randomly doing a hard whatever, you're keeping the opponent honest. If the guy were to jump the gun, literally and figuratively speaking, I guess, yeah, they can be hit if they're just jumping so early, just trying to jump out of everything. During stagger pressure, they might get hit, but the game is very fucking easy going when it comes to, chicken blocking and everything. So there's really not that much room for you to hit the guy. And the Banshee Blast is slow. So, again, whatever. And also to add to this as well, you actually can walk forward as well with some characters and then punish. But anyway, it's a caveat there. Just something else to show, you know what I mean? Another kind of gimmick. Not saying it's the most crazy strategy, but a gimmick, a trick. Just a gimmick or a trick you might actually be able to get away with every now and then, right? So for shits and giggles while this is going on, I'll just add in some other stuff, just showing more examples of this all in a row through various points and people trying to get out of it, and of course I'll show some duck hard to Banshee Blast since, to make that work more realistically, you would need to be able to then mix in a homing dash because, of course, homing dash is the counter to you doing Banshee Blast all the time. But if you do homing dash, that beats the guy's homing dash. And then the guy would then counter randomly with his too hard. So that's the mix up there. But whatever, that's the whatever, blah, blah, blah. Remember, if you like these kind of videos, like, sub, silly comments, share the video, whatever, it helps. I did not expect this video to be this long, but here we are. Again, just a trick, something else you can add to it, Again, I keep saying, I don't put my foot in my mouth, so none of this is real. But again, the idea is, can we make this as real as possible, right? At least to kind of try to cover our tracks, right? That's the whole point. So, yeah, I know it's kind of weird because I actually don't play this game, but I guess it's kind of simple stuff to me in a way. Again, I have thought about how would I actually play the game, and, again, that's why I know this kind of stuff, because I had at one time thought, how would I play this game if I were going to play it? Well, I could see what is actually possible, and at the end of the day, I just don't like the game fundamentally speaking, so it's just kind of like, I don't care. So, the end.